I thought the biggest story this weekend was gonna be the, storm rolling through southern part of the United States, outside of Georgia, and was gonna be really cold tonight and possibly ice later on. But I didn't know it was gonna be the summary execution of an American citizen in Minneapolis again today. As a nerd, I'd seen Judge Dredd. The first one, Stellan Sylvester sucks. The second one with, forget the actor, he's in everything, um, was much better. But at least he gave them an option before summary executing people and told them what was going on, the charges. What I saw today was in the videos an absolute murder. His name was Alex Preddy. He was an ICU nurse, for the VA, apparently. Um, a licensed gun holder in the state of Minnesota who was filming ICE activities, which is your constitutional right. You can film. Wasn't interfering with anything. That story later on, that after the shooting, it took 15 minutes later, and all of a sudden they had the investigation. Yeah, right. Greg Bovino, the little SS officer, wannabe. You know it's bad when Der Spiegel in Germany takes a picture of him and puts him next to an SS officer and say, "Yeah, we know what he is. Just want to remind Americans what he is." So his story is that he was trying to stop some um, criminal illegal, Carl Orban, thank you, Vincent. Um, this criminal illegal that they propped up that was nowhere in sight of the incident area, nowhere in fucking sight. That was just a cover, okay? Saying that he went to protect the illegal alien, drew his weapon, and they had to defend themselves. Absolutely 1984 bullshit. Don't believe us. Don't believe your eyes. Believe what we say. That was his statement. He lasted 2 questions before he ran off because everyone in that room knew he was full of shit. And the videos came out. So the first video from um, across the street in a coffee shop, wherever these people were, and it was bad enough. He's on the ground when they're pumping bullets at him. Okay, they were pistol whipping him. Then came the videos from the people right in front of it. Okay, Um, and Alex Preddy got caught in this. They were hassling because, let's face it, ICE agents are pussies. They are people that never ever fucking amounted to anything in their lives and given an opportunity to be cruel and to do whatever they want and to get weapons and $10,000 and dress up like fucking whatever, their favorite Call of Duty guy. One of those guys was like maybe, 200, 300 pounds. Saw that. All the white supremacists jumped in there. Um, remember, Enrico Tario is an ICE agent. That's been revealed. So, and they're totally untrained. They are just fucking goobers with weapons and racist. That's why they could pick up a 5-year-old boy and say, "Hey, it's cool," or a 2-year-old girl. "Yeah, it's fine," and deport them. They're sick people. They're all sick. From Christie on, no, I'm sorry, from Donald Trump, Stephen Miller on down. They're all sick human beings who love cruelty. It's already been said that Trump has a cruelty kink. He loves watching people suffer. Probably did today. And so Alex Preddy got caught up in it. They peppered, and then there was another person, woman with a backpack, that got involved, and they both got pepper sprayed. They pushed the woman to the ground, and Alex Preddy covered her with his body to keep the agents off them. And that's when they grabbed him and threw him to the ground and started wailing on him, pistol whipped him. Someone pulled his gun off him. And once that happened, I don't know what got into those guys, but they opened up fire one and shot him 10 times. 10 times. There was no reason for it. And I know all the far right, they're justifying this murder. They're justifying this murder, saying he had a gun. Oh, okay, you Second Amendment right people. He's not allowed to have a gun, even though he was legally it was a licensed gun to him. People are telling me Minnesota's an open carry state. Georgia's an open carry state. And he never pointed his weapon at him. None of the videos showed pointing a weapon at him. That is just lies generated by the far right. This is what they want us to believe because they want us to be afraid and capitulate. Fuck them. Fuck them. Trump's reaction. It's Waltz and the mayor's fault, Emory, they won't control this insurrection. What fucking insurrection? There was peace in Minneapolis till you sent those people. And the Speaker of the House, of the Minnesota House, I think her name is Dumas, she started this motherfucker because she sent that Nick Riley or wherever that motherfucker was. She paid him to get dirt on Somalis on a because she's running for governor, so she wants something against Walls. So they came up with that um the old um controversy of Somalis taking money during COVID, was 5, 6 years old, and not having daycares. Now those people were convicted and arrested, and their head person was just told to send the money back, to pay the money back, who turned out to be a white woman. But they sent that Nick Shirley guy out there, and he found these Somali so-called he tried to get into these daycare centers, and they won't let him in, or he went to places that didn't have them. And he said that, yeah, there's fraud. Went to these people, there's no kids. And Trump jumped on it because he already hates Minnesota, and this was his opportunity. So he sent ICE to investigate the fraud and arrest these illegal Somalis. Okay? All right? It was ridiculous. So it's bad enough. It's bad enough. Then they were just starting arresting people on anywhere. Citizens, non-citizens. They were arresting citizens for just filming them. They arrested a 17-year-old kid living in Target because Greg Bavino was there and needed an arrest. Turned out he was a born citizen that beat his ass, threw him out the door. Poor kid. They are banging down doors with warrantless searches, looking for who? We don't know, dragging people out. They dragged out that poor old man because their excuse? DHS, I wouldn't believe DHS if they told me water was wet. That there were sex offenders in the house. There was no one in there. It's a family house. They made a mistake. And then 3 weeks ago, Jonathan Ross ran into Renee Good. Renee Good had just dropped off her son at school. She lived in the neighborhood. She was trying to get around the ICE truck, the truck with the ICE agents in. All she wanted to do was get fucking home with her wife and her dog. That was it. And they stopped her. And they kept harassing her. Now, her wife went out there and started filming him, calling him names. Got it. Why not? Okay. And she had the window down. Told him, I'm not mad at you, dude. Just want to get home. And then she started to move her car away from him. We're done. And the motherfucker shot her 4 times. We saw the video. He wasn't hit. He wasn't in danger. And you never shoot at a fleeing car. This isn't the fucking Rookie. I saw an episode of The Rookie the other day, and they're shooting at a fleeing car. You don't do that. You don't. LAPD would not do that. Okay? It's a show. I like the show, but I get it. Yeah. But you don't do that. He shot her 4 times. And then apparently wouldn't let anyone. They wouldn't let the doctor see her, let EMT see her. She was alive afterwards, but she died. That was one. Later on, a Venezuelan was shot in the leg, supposedly fleeing for ICE. Turned out to be someone who wasn't. They weren't looking for him. Was mistaken identity. They've been arresting teenagers and school kids. 4 children have disappeared from one school. One of them being 5-year-old Liam Ramos, who was arrested with his dad. No, 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 no. Don't listen to JD Vance saying that his dad ran and they had to take the child in for detention because they needed because he was out in the cold. Fucking bullshit. You try to use the child to knock at the door to get anyone else out. They were legal asylum seekers going through the process. Period. They were legal in this country. There's no reason to remove them. Nothing. There was no removal order. They had him convicted of crime. He was coming home with his son. And you've all seen that picture. Now they're somewhere in Texas in a concentration camp. Kids in a cage. Or maybe he's been sold. We don't know. But it gets better. So a couple of days ago, 2-year-old girl comes home with dad from the grocery store. And they both get arrested. And they begged. The mom begged them, give me my daughter. Let me take her. They said no. And they had lawyers. There again, another asylum case. They filed a writ of habeas corpus. Understand this. They're arresting people without any warrants or probable cause. And then even though a writ of habeas corpus was filed for the child, they still shipped them to Texas with dad. They're in a concentration camp as we speak. Why ICE they're arresting teenagers just while driving down the street. Why? I don't know. It makes no sense. They're not the hardened criminals. They're not what Trump keeps saying. They're trying to get. He doesn't understand why everyone's upset. He's just trying to get rid of the bad immigrants. No, this is a vengeance tour. He hates Tim Walz. He hates Minneapolis. He's still pissed off about the George Floyd riots because when it got to D.C., he went into the bunker. And he never forgot that people called him a coward for going into the bunker. That's why he sent National Guard to clear the street. Remember that? With Mark Milley with him? That's why Milley turned on him. Remember that? That's what he's holding on to. And also he hates Tim Walz. And it was a little payback for Tim Walz. Well, guess what? It's gotten worse. And so instead of backing away, they keep doubling down. They send more people, more of these fucking untrained thugs in there who literally believe that they're saving America from brown people by arresting white people who protest. And then today, they murdered Alex Preddy. That was a straight up execution. I don't give a fuck what they're going to try to spin it. The video doesn't lie. You can't get around it. Now, Renee Good's murder was we investigated by the FBI, but what happened with the FBI is that it was a civil rights. And then, first of all, they said, no, you need to prosecute. They told the DOJ prosecutors, hey, go after Renee Good, find out what her connections were, and try to prosecute his wife. Prosecutors resigned on that one. Said, no, the FBI agent in charge of in investigating the shooting turned to her boss, and said, this is not on Renee Good. This is a civil rights investigation on Jonathan Ross. And they said, no, you will do what we tell you. Investigate Renee Good and her wife. We need something. And she fucking resigned. So what is DHS doing with this one? They're not letting the FBI handle it, which they should, because that's Department of Justice. Okay? No, DHS is going to handle the investigation. Oh, really? That's basically like some of the police shootings. Don't worry. It's an internal police investigation. We will find the truth. They're already covering up. They wouldn't let the Minnesota Minneapolis Police Department in there to catalog the area and get evidence. No, 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 no. They tried to keep him out to the chief of police said you couldn't. They cordoned off the area and then they arrested witnesses around there and took them to the detention center. We don't know where they're at. The witnesses are gone. The lady, the pink lady who, the video we saw that shows the actual execution, she uploaded. They were able to get it. But she's in detention right now. She has been arrested. Why? Because she saw what she shouldn't saw. My God, it's like a bad fucking movie. Okay? And the worst thing about it is that one of the angles of the shooting, one of the ICE agents who came in there saw that was clapping when he saw the dead guy. These are children cosplaying with weapons and with a chip on the shoulder. And it's worse because when they cordoned off the area, people were trying to protest around the yellow tape. Border Patrol and ICE sent pepper spray and tear gas at him. Try to clear them out. Why? Because they're calling them names. Fucking pussies. This is where we're at. And now, a little late, because that's what Democrats do. By the way, the 7 Democrats who voted for ICE, please, I don't have their names. You can Google it. Find their names, find their emails, and attach the video of the murder of Alex Freddie and ask, is this what you want? I want to discuss that real quick. I made a comment about that in one of Alex Parnas' videos that Democrats have betrayed us. Understand, I know they couldn't change the outcome of the vote. There are too many Republicans who are going to hang on to that because to them right now, Republicans believe that the immigration, what they're doing now, Trump's immigration, is the only way they can win the midterms. That they can convince people that Trump is saving them from the bad people. Well, it's not working. He doesn't understand why people don't get it. He's confused. Yeah, of course he's confused. A, he's got dementia, and B, it's not working. None of this is working. The culture wars aren't working. Why? Because people don't have a job or spending too much money on groceries. It's fucking ridiculous. The economy is free falling. And Trump's review of it is that it's great. I don't know why people are upset. It's all good. Stephen Bissett, why are you upset? Just ask your boomer parents to sell one of their 6 homes. Get you some money. Secretary of Agriculture, why are you worried about eating? You could eat at $15 a day. I mean, piece of chicken, broccoli, and a corn tortilla. That must have broke our heart for the corn tortilla because that's Mexican. God almighty. That must have gotten shit. My God. It's the reason is why it's not that things are expensive. It's that you guys eat too much and you spend too much money on food. You need to learn how to do better. The rich telling you being poor. What's that? Again, being a nerd. But one of the favorite lines from The Emperor's New Groove, where Yzma is listening to people asking for help, and she's looking down at one guy. He goes, it's not my fault you don't have what is it you want enough of? And the guy goes, food? Ha! You should have known that before you became peasants. Welcome to the Trump regime. That's exactly what she said to us with that. We don't have enough food. Well, you should have figured that out before you were poor, shouldn't you have? It's not my problem. I'm worth $15 million. I can go down to Mar-a-Lago and take part of their whole caviar bar. This is ridiculous. And the MAGA church just fucking eat it up because they think all they care is about owning the libs in their cruelty geek. And so in that video, I said Democrats betrayed us because you just do the vote as a performative vote. You know nothing's going to happen. But they were afraid what's going to happen in their district. And I get this email, I get this response with this person going, well, it's a purplish district and they have to take into consideration. And that's what Hakeem Jeffries is talking about. And Chuck Schumer, they're worried about progressives because progressives don't win elections. And that's what happened last year. And that's why, no. One, Kamala Harris did not win the presidency because the far left and the far right and MAGA and in between are fucking racist. and misogynist. End discussion. You far left people put her with Palestine and you voted for Joe Stein. That's not your reasons because you didn't want to vote for a black woman for president. End discussion. There. Two, the political landscape has totally changed. The bullshit that Republicans will feed us to fund the police ain't going to work with ICE. They're not a law enforcement agency. Okay? All the bullshit they're trying to feed, culture wars, trans, this and that, not going to work. Immigration is not going to work because people can see this is bullshit. You know, Biden and the Obama administration, they wanted deportations. In the year of this new fucking idea of immigration, they have deported, Trump administration has deported less people than the Biden and Obama administration did before. That's what people talk about. Well, why are people upset? Obama deported people. Yeah, legally, through due process, not by banging their doors down and throw them out. And he didn't throw them in concentration camps either. Okay? Fucking enough with that bullshit. And if I hear Trump bait Joe Biden about the fucking border again, kiss my fucking ass. This is your problem now. Fuck. Yeah, I'm not happy right now because this is ridiculous. But going back to it, the political landscape has changed, and the only people who don't realize it are corporate Democrats. Republicans realize that. That's why they're fucking scared of the midterms because they know they're fucked. Because people are going, yeah, I don't give a fuck about the trans person or the drag queens. I can't sell my crops. I don't have a job. An entire Nebraska town is collapsed because Tyson pulled out on their meat plant. That's a total, absolute result of terrorists by Trump and the Trump administration. They cost those people who are Trump humpers their jobs. Farmers cannot sell their soybeans. There's still farmers running around here. They saw one video in Georgia. He's waiting for Trump to save him. Ain't saving you, brother. If you're planting soybeans thinking you're going to sell them next season, good fucking luck. Good fucking luck. You're not selling shit because the Chinese basically said, we don't need you. We're going to get them cheaper from Argentina. You know, that's country they gave $44 billion to? Always remember during all this shit, legislation, no health care, nothing. That's another thing talking about Democrats. Hey, dudes, didn't help us with the ACA. That budget bill was passed with no ACA subsidies. People running around without insurance. Insurance is expensive. Trust me, I know. Even with insurance, with my wife's chemo and my surgery, I'm looking at $10,000 out of pocket. I don't know where the fuck I'm going to get that money. That's in addition to taking off work for my wife's treatments and all that, and for myself. I fucking don't know. It's 10 grand. That's called medical debt. And it shouldn't be that way. So it brings me back to what I was saying. Those people who are moderates or independents are fucking bullshitting you. They fucking don't care. They don't want to be involved because the idea of the government helping people makes them sick because they hate poor people. They don't want socialism. Hey, dumbasses, there is socialism. It's for the rich. The rich get our money. The rich and oligarchs get their tax cuts. They get socialism in the United States. Corporations get socialism from the United States. They get our money. All right. And Trump has ripped us off for he's raised his net worth by 1.4 billion the year he's been president this time. 1.4 billion his net worth has risen. Not counting the $500 million of the Venezuelan oil he stole and sold and put it in a an account in Qatar that no one can get but him. You know what we call that in the real world? Fucking embezzlement. You go to jail for embezzlement. But for you, the president of the United States, it's all part about doing business for him. You saw his act in Davos. You see how he talks about us. He doesn't give a shit unless it involves him, and add dementia to it. And then Stephen Miller screaming his anti immigrant bullshit shit and the fucking incompetent cabinet, you have a shit show. The ice storm, they had to hire back people for FEMA for the emergency because they fired them because there was no hurricanes this year. We don't need you. Of course, there's next year's hurricane season, but fuck it, right? Who cares? So they rehired them for the ice thing, but one, DHS doesn't want them to use the word ice because ice means that people might get equated with ice. But we're talking about ice storms. This is what we're dealing with. But there's not enough money. They're only going to send money to 4 states, and they got 30 generators available for 4 states. This thing is across half the country, counting Texas. And they're out of their fucking minds. This is how they operate. The competency is out. All right. And watching today, that means that the political landscape is different. You cannot come to me and say they're trying to protect the purple district. There is no purple district. There is no left. There is no right. There's only right and fucking wrong. You're with the fascists, you're against the fascists. You're with the American people to give them what they need, or you're not. You're with the oligarchs. Simple. Why did Zoran Mondani win? Because he's with the people. And he told him, this is what I'm going to do for the people of New York. Eric Adams was doing for the corporations and the rich people of New York. In 1 week, he got the biggest landlord to start getting shit done. He got he got preschool in 1 week for people in New York. That's what he did. That's progressive. That's not socialism. That's helping the American people. And so a Democratic candidate, to me, should embrace those. Affordability, helping the American people, abolish ICE, strong economy, strong defense, without the bullshit that Pete Hegseth and Trump have done to us. Reestablish ties with Europe. Reestablish ties with Latin America. Fix this Venezuelan shit that he caused. That's what you run on. You don't run on mealy-mouthed policies. You run in opposition to the Republicans. And that's the problem. That's the fucking problem with corporate Democrats, because the corporations feed both sides. Chuck Schumer is so far and deep in pockets of corporations, is sick. And fuck AIPAC. Because they're the worst. We gave $3.3 billion to Israel through all this. $3.3 billion to Israel. What about us? And the reason I'm saying that is not just giving us money, it's about making sure the roads are good. Healthcare. If a disaster happens, we're there. That's what the government does. It runs that stuff. It doesn't have a cycle running the health department that says that polio vaccines are now optional. Yeah, look that up in the Times today. The head of that, some guy named Kalia Mahalo, I think that's his name, is saying that, yeah, I want measles and polio vaccines to be voluntary because the choice of a personal individual rights outweigh the health of the general population. He has no fucking idea what polio was. I do. My mom worked in the last polio ward. Iron lungs. It was a scourge. I remember when it came up, people were so proud that Jonas Salk had used American ingenuity to stop this plague. But now we have RFK and these idiots telling us we were wrong. And now, politically, if a Democrat does not support the things I said and start merely mounting about policy, I'm not voting for you. I'm voting for that Democrat in the primary. But if that Democrat loses, I'm going to vote for the corporate Democrat, but I will remember who you are. Because the last thing I'm going to do is not vote or vote Republican. And if someone tells you that, You tell them you're fucking MAGA. That's the truth. Period. Which leads us to this. I don't know what the fuck's about to happen. Tim Walz being finally late to the party, buddy, finally brought in the National Guard after another dead body in the streets of Minneapolis. Their job is to set up security around the Whipple building, which is the federal building in Minneapolis where ISIS hung their shingle. I don't know what that entails. Maybe standing in front of protesters to keep ISIS. I don't know. And then to set up help with traffic. They're there at the request of the county, I guess. But that's going to response from Trump. I'll guarantee you right now it's 5:03 Eastern Standard Time. By 8 o'clock tonight, he'll declare Minnesota, Minneapolis in a state of insurrection and send in troops. And then we're going to see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is that a man was an ICU agent, ICU nurse, whose job was to help people in the most worst situation, intensive care, who at the moment before he died was covering another woman who had been pushed to the ground and pepper sprayed by ICE with his body. Literally gave his life for her. ICE is the Gestapo, but they don't show their face. Greg Bavino is a Nazi. Stephen Miller is a racist piece of shit who never peaked ever in his life, who believes in things that most normal human beings do not unless you're cruel. And Donald Trump is a grifter, dementia-ridden, who only cares about himself and has a kink for watching people suffer. That's what we're dealing with. So what does that leave us? They keep telling everyone, and they are right now, they're peacefully protesting right now in Minnesota. I've seen it. How long that's going to last, I don't know. ICE is nervous because they should be nervous. They should be nervous. I will guarantee you, though, what's going on in Minneapolis, if they're in Philadelphia or other parts of the country, like Maine, they are, be prepared because they saw what happened to Alex Preddy. They're going to be prepped. They're taking the Second Amendment into consideration right now. And they hammer down a door in Philadelphia or Maine or in some backwoods in Maine and find out that they have a weapon like a shotgun. You guys have the worst equipment, and it's going to get worse. You guys have just escalated to the point not to help Trump, but to basically get your fellow agents in a lot of trouble. This is where we're at. They forced Americans there. Proud of Minneapolis, Minnesotans and Minneapolis residents. They're out there, and they're going to stay out there in this cold and fight them the best they can. Because they know right now, after you watch that, a lot of them come to the conclusion they have nothing to lose. When people have nothing to lose, that's when it gets really bad. And if Trump sends federal troops in there with the idea of helping law enforcement arrest whatever, or helping ICE with National Guard on the ground, I don't know what's going to happen. I thought it was bad when you had the shooting at Kent State. I remember that. But cooler heads prevailed. They didn't say what Ronald Reagan said. If shooting them is what it takes to stop them protesting, that's what we have to do. Look it up. Ronald Reagan was a pig, and he led to all these economic problems we have now. I'm not going to tell Minnesotans to peacefully calm down. They have a right to be pissed any way they want. They have a right to barricade like they do with trash cans and throw bottles at these guys. They have a right to be angry right now. They have a right to go LA riots right now because ICE has brought that on themselves. And I don't know what's going to happen next. Because it's coming to the question, the thing is that violence is not the answer. It may be the question at this point. And America, here's the thing, I want to make this real clear. They're doing this because they want Americans to capitulate to the Christo-fascist state. They want us all to believe that their God, which is Trump, as their savior, is the best thing for us. Their idea of Christianity, which excludes everyone but white males, is the way to go. We're not buying it. Americans don't capitulate. I don't care what race you are, what sex you are. If you're not part of the cult or a Republican, you don't capitulate. You're mad as hell and you're not going to take it anymore. And that's what's going on in Minnesota. That's what we're dealing with, y'all. The reason I went live is I've done a lot of videos and I'm just trying to process this, because watching that video of a man being executed and watching the cheering by ICE and watching the lies of DHS, it's a lot to take. I got enough problems as it is personally. I mean, half of it, I don't know how to pay my bills, but that's everybody right now. What I'm saying right now is don't quit, stand up, be prepared, because it's going to get worse. I'm sorry, it's going to get worse, and I don't know what else to say. But I got a feeling, but we're all going to stand our ground. We're standing our ground right now, because no matter what Trump believes or they don't believe, America, the Constitution does not start with only we, the rich and the privileged, in order to have a government to control everyone. It's not how the Constitution starts. We, the people, in order to form a more perfect union. We, the people. And they're going to get reminded. They're getting reminded of it right now. Okay. Will it turn violent? Well, it already has, but not from the people, from the government. And that's what the Second Amendment was there, and they're about to find that out, I think. I don't like it, but we're going to find out that maybe cooler heads prevail. But the American public has had it. We've had it. This is not America. This is a mutated version of it. And it's not taking hold. We will not let it take hold. So government by the people, for the people, will not perish from this earth. You guys have a good rest of the day. God bless America. Pray for all of us. Amen.